All right. Good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody back. Welcome to the end of your week for the most part, right? We got one more period. But more importantly, this is the end of the semester as well, right? So keep that in mind. I kind of encouraged Algebra 2 last period. Just make sure, hopefully, a few weeks ago when we started talking about this, hopefully you were proactive and you were looking at not Canvas, Skyward. You were aware of where you stood in class, not just our class, but all your classes. If you hadn't had a chance to do that, or you just have been procrastinating, do that today. Please, please, please. Even if it's just a few assignments you have to make up for a class or something like that, that can totally be done in the next, whatever, 36 hours, right? Um, so don't put it off, just commit to it. Make sure you're not going to do anything else today until you get that done and, you've contacted the teacher and done whatever you have to do. Okay. Please don't procrastinate on that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and then show you what you have on your plate for this week as well as next week, because it's Thursday. So next week's stuff unlocked. So for this week, you have our fifth and final lesson in Unit 4, which is all about congruence and right triangles. So the last three lessons, well, this lesson and then the last two really go together well. All five properties that they're talking about here just deal with congruence and triangles, and then this one specifically in right triangles. So you've learned five properties. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at this week to talk about congruence. Of course, you can access the interactive textbook here or just the website, so you can look at the PDF of the textbook, or this will tell you what pages we're on. The practice problems I'm asking you to do, please make sure you're actually doing these problems. I know in this environment where you're not turning something in, you're not turning this in for credit. It's really tempting to not do that and bypass that, but really to kind of learn this material, you have to be practicing it, okay? It's one thing to watch somebody do it. It's one thing to follow along and think it makes sense, but practicing it really solidifies that idea if you understand the concept or not. Extra practice, if you need some extra problems, those are fresh problems that you can access that just, practices the same skills. Of course, the vocab and concepts in the check-in, both of these are due Friday by 11:59 p.m. Make sure you are accessing the solutions manual in the video tutorial if you need help. I can't stress that enough. These are like your first lines of defense, right? So these are things that I'm already providing you to answer your questions. Of course, the extra questions that these things don't answer for you, if you need further explanation, I'm here for you, right? No problem with that. But please make sure you're accessing these two things to kind of see if you can answer your own question. The solutions manual will have all the answers to all the problems in the textbook, not just the practice problems, but all of them. And then the video tutorial is just me going through all that stuff for you, talking about vocab, really stressing main ideas, right? A lot of these lessons have like one or two big things that trip students up every single year. It's super common. So in my video tutorial, it's basically like you sitting in class and getting a lesson, right? This is essentially what that is. So make sure you're accessing that if you need it. Next week's stuff, you'll notice I'm coming over here and clicking on a different class because next week starts second semester. So we actually have a different whatever class in Canvas that you have to access. You'll notice on that last page, I was at the very bottom. So the last thing you're going to see in this semester's thing in Canvas is 4.5. Starting off next semester, you'll notice the first thing I have up there is the Zoom link. I don't know if you access it or not, but I do every single time. I automatically just come into our class and click on that. It's easy for me, so I wanted to have it in there. Everything else, such as like the syllabus and the schedule, all that kind of stuff is just going to stay in first semester. I'm not going to transfer all that over here just to kind of clutter it up some more. So the only thing I'm going to transfer over from first semester is just the Zoom link. What you'll see in for next week is your test, right? Unit 4 test. So this unlocked for you yesterday. So if you've had an opportunity to look at it, great. If not, that's okay. Don't stress. You still got, 10 more days to knock this out. You can see it's due Sunday the 14th, so Valentine's Day. Make sure you are doing this review or going back and watching videos from lessons or going back and just looking through the textbook. I strongly recommend, because you only get 2 shots at this test, right? The initial test and then a retake. Don't waste that first test by just kind of winging it, right? Go back and at least review this stuff. Have your notes out, right? Prep yourself a little bit at least before you take that test. Of course, this review is straight out of the textbook. It's at the end of Unit 4. So this is just a screenshot of those PDF pages on Envision. And then the review solutions manual. So this is all the steps to get the answers on the review. And then, of course, this is the video of me just going through the review for you. It's a pretty straightforward review. The video went pretty quick. I would guess 20-something minutes. It didn't take a long time because, again, the concepts that Unit 4 talked about was just like congruency concepts. And it's just by looking at the picture, you're telling if it's side, side, side or angle, side, angle. You know what I mean? There's not like a ton of math that you have to work through. So that made this for a pretty quick unit to do the review for. So I just want to encourage you to make sure you're doing some type of review before you knock that test out. All right, so I'm going to go back and let the late people in. Feel free to unmute yourself or type something in the chat box if you need to ask. All right. I'm going to hang back and talk with people, work through problems, talk about grades, talk about the weather. It doesn't matter. If you need something, just hang back with me and then we will discuss it. If you're good to go, please spend the next 40 minutes or so dedicated to math. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a good day. Have a good weekend.
You have a good weekend too, Mr. Chapman.
Thanks,
Bye.
Olivia. See you, buddy. Thank you, Taya. All right, I got some people in here. Questions? Feel free to just unmute yourself. All right. Anton, questions? Thanks, Lily. See ya.